Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.
Welcome back to episode 4 of the Receipt Paper Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Strubing, here with my life partner, business partner, Joanne Mester, soon to be Strubing. Jojo, babe, how are we doing today?
Doing well. I think a little better than you. You've been under the weather, but...
Yeah, we're powering through today, but that's what sometimes, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Thanks for hanging in there with
I
us.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. So how are you doing? You good?
Had a great weekend at the store. Off to a great week so far.
Solo dolo at the store today and last weekend. Yeah. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Well done. So yeah, I hear you have a bunch of really great topics for us today to cover, huh?
Yeah, I'm super excited about today's topic. It's one of those topics that I really wish we would have had when we first opened, because it would have saved us probably a lot of money and time and certainly a lot of headache.
Yeah, a lot less trial and error for sure.
Yeah,
I would say. But before we get started, I definitely wanted to mention we are brought to you once again by Tap Mango. Go to masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango. That's masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango for our top ROI tool that we do use. Is Tap Mango. It has all of the bells and whistles that you could need. The rewards program with that text functionality, it's definitely worth its weight in gold. So go to masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango.
So today we are diving into exactly what you should be asking marketing vendors. So before you ever sign on with any marketing vendor, we want you to ask these 6 questions that we are going to dive into for you today. And this is such an important topic. As brick and mortar business owners, those of you that are already open, I'm sure you see it all the time. You have marketing vendors coming through your doors all the time, promising you the world for the next new big thing, whether it's, direct mail or ad pages and
geofencing.
Yeah, SEO, email
Everyone
campaigns.
has a silver bullet, right?
Yeah, there's so many different types of marketing out there and vendors that come in and they want you to market with them. Right. And a lot of these opportunities sound so exciting. I know, especially in the beginning, any thought of getting in front of new people and bringing new people through my doors was so exciting. And we moved forward with a lot at the beginning. A lot of people. We threw our trust out there. We tried a lot of things. So if you ever have a question on a specific marketing vendor, feel free to reach out. We've likely tried them, but
we paid them. Yeah, paid them too much.
Yeah,
but it's.
But we don't want you to make the same mistakes as us. So that's the whole point of this topic today, is to show you what you should be asking them. And I think now, when we get a marketing vendor or when we go out and look for marketing vendors, these are the exact questions that we ask, and it's working for us. Yeah. All of the marketing that we've done recently, whether it's Google My Business ad or Google AdWords, Facebook ads, direct mail campaigns, they've been far more successful because we've asked the right questions in the beginning.
Right. And I've gotten to be, I'm generally in the store a little bit more. So I've I deal with these people a lot more face to face. So I've gotten a lot, honestly, I'm almost callous about it now to where, but I feel like that's how it has to be for me to do business, right? You're the one with the, you're the one with the, you're the one with cards, right? You have the money. You're the one who eventually is going to stroke the check, and it is your business. And I will say, hey guys, I will say, hey, look, this is kind of how I do business. And just kind of go from there.
So this is an important one. So go ahead and pull out that notebook, take some notes here. We're going to dive into 6 areas that you should be discussing with your marketing vendor. Kyle, do you want to kick us off with number 1?
Yeah, for sure. Number one is show me the numbers, right? 100%. That's if you have to have numbers, you have to figure out where they're going, where we're coming from, how is this going to happen? Are you going to be able to get your, a return on your investment? And it starts there, 100%, right? I mean, and if they don't have these, another thing, like if they don't have this information, this might not be the company for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like the questions that we're going to ask are any salesperson worth their weight should know this right off the top of their head. They're not, they're industry questions. So don't feel embarrassed or anything to ask any of this. Like these people need to know their stuff because you want to align with a business that your business aligning with their business that knows their stuff. I mean, just flat out. So definitely show me the numbers. Some of the numbers that you want to know, first of all, are impressions, right? How many people are going to are going to see this? How many people are going to take a look at what you have to offer, and they're going to actually go in and come into your store. That's the biggest one. What is the maximum amount of people that are going to see it,
Yeah.
right?
And I think impressions is, I mean, that's, when you're talking impressions, so if we're talking direct mail, that's how many households are you sending this to? If you're talking
Right.
about an event, how many people are attending the event? If we're talking about, SEO, how many people are going to see this digitally online? What is your average impression? But dig a little deeper, right?
Sure. For sure, yeah. You definitely you want to figure out, like if it's direct mail, are they sending it to a household or are they sending it to individual people? It's all you want to kind of call these people, not call them out, but you want to see and make sure that these aren't just some numbers that they're throwing out there for sure.
Yeah, I think recently this happened to us. Somebody was advertising an event to us that they wanted us to participate as a vendor, and it sounded really
It
awesome.
sounded awesome.
And the
And
event,
that's the first red flag
yeah,
too, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
You're like, oh my gosh, that makes a ton of sense. For
right,
for $1,500, we're getting 10,000, like
yeah.
red flag.
So, and this event may be great, but basically at first they told us there was going to be 10,000 people there, but we dug a little deeper. It was like, okay, so is this event open to the public? Well, the answer was no. So, it was like, okay, so there's going to be 10,000 people there. So are you confirming these guests? And come to find out after digging a little deeper, it was they're inviting 10,000 people.
Right.
So, the likelihood of those 10,000 people showing up is not high. So, come to find out, basically, it just wasn't as great as it had sounded. This was the first time they're running the event, so there was nothing, to look back on and say this is likely to happen. But don't be afraid to dig a little deeper when they throw out a number. Ask them how they obtain those numbers.
Right.
Do they track those numbers? Do they have anything to show you to prove those numbers? Yeah.
Do the numbers track across like even their social? Like there was this interesting, unique network that seemed to align, but then when you dug into the people that were pitching us this, they didn't have 10,000 Netflix or not Netflix, 10,000 LinkedIn followers. Hey, a lot of cold medicine going on here. But my point is like their socials didn't even it didn't even align that way either. So not that I felt like it was that we were being lied to, but how else was this? They planned on running a print ad to try to recruit, and it got a little convoluted. So we ended up turning it down. But those are some of the questions where it's like at first glance I was like, oh heck yeah, let's do this. But once again, it kind of sounded a little too
Yeah,
good,
you
good
want
to
to
be
make sure
true.
the numbers are hard numbers, not their goal numbers,
Right,
right?
right,
Yeah.
right. And then the second, pretty important, and another thing to recognize or to ask when asking for the numbers is like the response time. Like, with mail, there's, some people, like Jojo says, I look at the mail and I throw it to the side, then maybe I come back around on 7 days. What is their typical response time do they get? Or even like what is the typical response time for that industry?
Mm.
And if you're, a simple Google search will tell you a lot of that. Like, and if they're saying these astronomical numbers, something doesn't add up. Like, somebody's saying that they're getting a 10% open rate on emails. This just doesn't happen. So something kind of, so that should raise a red flag for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing to add there is, understanding the response time isn't necessarily like a good or bad thing depending on what their answer is. You
Right.
just want to know, okay, your average response time for somebody getting an ad in the mail is typically within 60 days. Well, you probably want to see them in your store sooner. So that can help you tailor what your ad's going to look like. Maybe it has an expiration date that's sooner, or something more enticing to get them to respond sooner. So that's just a number that you really want to know, so you know how to move forward when you if
To
you do.
staff, to purchase inventory if that's what you're doing. I mean, you need to know. I mean, all those insights definitely help because people sit on things, for sure, and they have to look at it, and then like in brick and mortar, they have to look at it, and then they have to get in their car or physically take themselves there, and it's not a very, it does, people aren't always excited to do that. So it takes multiple impressions, or it takes some time for them to see it.
Right.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So number one, show me the numbers. The numbers you want to be asking for is impressions. Dig a little deeper into those impressions to see if they're hard numbers. You want to ask them what their response time is, and what else?
And then, I mean, honestly, like you want to understand kind of the response rate for that medium in general, and you want to be able to. It needs to be in line. I mean, unless they're doing or make them show you why they get such a high response rate or whatever. That's key. If it doesn't, like I said, if it doesn't jive, it doesn't jive
Yeah. Yeah. Trust your gut for
for
sure.
sure.
All right, let's move on to number two. Number two is, who is the audience? So this is a question we definitely did not ask in the beginning.
Right.
But, so once they tell you the numbers, maybe they're sending a mailer to 30,000 households. But then you want to know, well, who are these households? Um, you got to know who the target market is and if it matches yours. So if you haven't done so already, you need to have a ideal customer avatar
Right.
that you follow for your business. Who is your ideal perfect customer that you see walk in your doors?
Yeah, before you send anything out, you should know this already, right, Joanne?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Before you even open your doors, you want to do this,
that's
right?
right.
Right? Yeah. And if you don't know this, I'm really excited. I actually just wrapped up a full lesson inside of Brick and Mortar Academy that's all about creating your ideal customer avatar. So we will be opening up Brick and Mortar Academy. Little plug there for
Right.
and next month, in about less than 6 weeks, we'll be opening the doors to Brick and Mortar Academy. Super excited about it. But yes, the ideal customer avatar is just so important. So I highly encourage you to step back and create one. But this way, you know if it's a match for your business. So who is the audience that they're targeting? They should know, especially, if it's direct mail or an event, or, I mean, really any type of marketing, who are who is the demographic? What is
Right.
the age? What is the gender percentage? What are the interests of those people? What is their household income? Look at those numbers. One time we did a big email campaign with a company, and there was, like 50,000 people they were sending this email campaign to. And
They'd all been opted in for health and wellness or
yeah,
whatever that.
yeah. But come to find out, the age range was like 75 and up. And that just wasn't our ideal customer at the time. And so, a question that we should have asked before. So, who is the audience? What is their household income? What are their interests? What are their age? What are the gender? As much information as you can get on who the audience is that they send those impressions to. So, they should have these numbers. Make sure you ask and make sure it aligns with your business. Am I missing anything on that one?
No, I think that's on point. I mean, you want to make sure that you're both in line. I mean, if and going back to that, like you have to figure out what your avatar is, and is this are we still talking to the same people?
Yeah.
Because if not, it everything has to match up at each level. And I know we cover this in much greater length, but like it all has to be congruent. And if it's not, it's just way off. So that's definitely a big one. Ready to move on to number three?
Let's do it.
Number three, references, or even testimonials, right? Real ones. Make sure that they're real, right? I mean, it's so easy to type up a testimonial or whatever, but anybody who comes into like your physical store or whatever should be prepared with this. They should show, other newspapers that said, hey, this is what happened and this is what this, and then ask them, well, what kind of response rate did they get, if you don't mind me asking? Well, did this creative work well for them, or did this, that, and the other, so like make sure you don't want to just go off of like a hope and a prayer here or trust this person. Even like we took so many chances on people that we trusted because we had dealt with them in other facets of our lives, whether it was other businesses or even personal relationships, and we didn't vet that out, and it sucked. It was just you know it I mean, I'm not going to name names, but it was just like you couldn't believe that, and we just and eventually, because it's your money, it falls back on you.
Right.
We should not have made that decision, and we're kind of no ill will or ill feelings, but it was like business is business, and you have to really do your due diligence with that stuff.
Yeah, and I think with references, try to get references with people in a similar industry with you. If you are a nail salon, see if do they have other nail salons or, beauty service locations that can be a reference, and don't be afraid to talk to those owners. How did it work for them? Are they raving about it? Do some digging there. Like ask the marketing vendor for references or go to your network and say, hey, has anybody used XYZ marketing firm before? And what was your
Right.
experience? Don't be afraid to reach out and
Social
just get
media
that
groups are
confirmation.
good for stuff like that too.
Great for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can definitely ask in per your, specific genre, because obviously the nail salon, right across the street from your nail salon is probably going to be open with giving you information, but maybe somebody in another city
Yeah.
is or something like that. So definitely, and a lot of that builds, towards you kind of reaching out and being part of your community as well, so that you're well known. You're not just some, schlep just asking away like.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask though. I think that one's just so important. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, moving on right along to number 4, which is ad copy assistance. This is a key one to ask because it will save you a lot of time and headache. So what you want to ask them is, do they actually create the ads for you? If they are a direct mail provider, do they create the graphic designs? Do they have a graphic designer on staff? If it's, Facebook advertisements, are they writing out that copy for you? If it's, something digital on the online, are they, writing and creating graphics? Are they, for an event, are they advertising the event for you? How involved are they in the process? And then ask for examples. And the reason you want to do this is because you know, if you have to create all of the ad copy, the graphics, or the written copy, that's going to take a lot of time off of your hand. Or if you have to hire someone, that's going to be an additional cost. And you want to ask for examples because what if you hate that? What if the
Yeah.
graphic designer on staff is
Sucks.
just
Yeah.
not good? Because that's happened to us a lot of times where they say, oh, yeah, we have a graphic designer. They can throw something for you together, and they created something. Well, the deadline was within like 24 hours, and the graphic design that they created was horrible. And all of a sudden, we're in a pickle with, a 12-hour countdown, and we just got to go with whatever they created. So ask for those examples so you can validate if you like what they have, or if you're going to need to create something on your own, and then consider that additional cost or time into how you move forward with them. I think that's a really valuable area that we never considered in the beginning, but now it's one of my first questions that I ask,
Yeah, because you're the one that ends up doing it.
yeah, I'm like, am I going to have to do this, create this ad? And if you're doing it, are you good at it?
Right.
Can I actually
Right.
trust you? I'm really picky when it comes to the ad design and what things look like. So I, really want to know that they're going to do a great job. So they should have those examples for you. That's not an uncommon question, but make sure you ask it.
Right. Right, for sure. And as far as like copy is concerned too, like location of where it's going on the page too is also a good question to ask, right? Like
Mm.
where, like when recently did a newspaper thing, and they must have been so desperate that we were like above the title of the paper.
Mm.
And we had this killer ad, and I mean, didn't really drive as much traffic as I thought it would, but um, that was key, and that was a selling point for me because it was like, look, like if you have this little ad buried down in the corner,
Yeah.
like no thanks, But if and there's cost associated with that, right? The size, the this, that, and the other, all of that kind of plays into the factor. But you want to know where the heck that ad's going to, like where obviously it's going in, but is it going top, middle, back? Is it getting buried? That's key as well.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like, even with like email campaigns, or people will be like, you'll be we'll put your links on our guest posts in our blog. Well, where is that link going? Is it at the very bottom where the readers never tend to get to? Am I in the first paragraph? Or, in an email campaign, are you going to talk about me right away? That's such, yeah. Where are you advertising?
You mentioned, yeah, where are we going to be seen within that specific ad? That means a lot. It's key.
All right, let's move on to number 5. This
No,
is this is your bread and butter here, Kyle.
yeah, number 5 is reporting, tracking, and success metrics. How are you going to measure success for this? Okay. Yeah, we had ABC. I had a ton of people coming in. What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? First of all, you need to what we're trying to go for is an ROI on this, right? You need to get a return on your investment. How many, how many responses is it going to take to get that? You know what I'm saying? How many, in order for you to make money on this, how many people have to come in? How many products do you have to sell? How many of this? How many of that? All of that plays into the fact if this was a good investment or if this was not. What we do is we like to factor in our average transaction, and then go from there. So I can sit here and I can say, if I give you $1,500 and let's say we have, you know, our average transaction is $100, but then my cost is $50 on that. I gotta sell just to break even for you. I gotta get 30 heads through the door.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm sending out 10,000, if I send out 10,000 of these notices or impressions or whatever it is, does 10,000 equate 30 door swings?
Right.
And if it doesn't, based on the response rate or based on this or based on that, you're out. You just are. So you have to kind of take that back. You have to take and kind of work it back to figure out if that does make sense for you, for sure. But yeah, and then also the big thing too is tracking, figuring out how you're going to track this, not only internally but through them as well. Is it door swings? Do you have a coupon? Is it a special code? Is it what is it that you can sit here and say when you look back on it, he comes back the second time and says, "Hey, you want to renew?" Where you can sit here and say, pull it up and be able to access it on the fly and say, "Boom, this did that. This did perform well, or this didn't perform well."
Right.
And I'm not saying you scrap all of it, but also you might need to tweak something too. It could have been the message, it could have been timing. A lot of things play into factor. But if you have no way of measuring what you did, you have nowhere to start.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks.
Yeah. I will say with most marketing, you want to give it 3 to 6 months to see if it's working. But you have to have a way to look back and track it and
Yeah.
see if it was working.
Yeah.
And I know, a couple ways things that we've done is we've created spreadsheets where we just simply mark down every time somebody comes through the door, I know, we would just tally it up and it was really simple. When we had, times when we've had employees, we've actually created a special discount coupon code. Let's say the direct mail ad had 20% off. We would create a 20% off XYZ ad code in the POS. So then at the end of the month, we could just simply pull that report. It was super easy to implement into our POS.
Mail 20 or whatever is the code. Yeah, it's super. It's super. Yeah.
Lots of ways to track it. I mean,
how you do it is not that important. It's what you do. The fact that you're doing it and are able to access it is key.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't measure. If you can't measure what you're bringing in, you just can't get an accurate ROI for sure. But and then and then you want to make sure, see how you are tracking it, at what timetable. Is it weekly, monthly? How are we doing that? All that good stuff. The time of course is key. The third thing the third thing here is the different success metrics. Your success, you want to ask them, the vendor as well, what their metric for success was. They go, hey, when you come back, when I have a conversation with you in 2 weeks, bud, and you say, oh, it went well, what is success for them and what is not success for them? And does your success and their success, is that both in line? Because if he comes back and says, oh man, I hear you had told me you had a bunch of coupons come in. Yeah, man, I had 3 people come in the first day. And after that, that was it. That was not success, right? So as long, you guys got to get it out in the beginning and say, hey, this is what so that you're both working towards the same goal. This is what we're working towards. And anything less than this, I deem as a failure. And if it's not together, then that's just it's not the right place to put your money, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a great conversation to have up front with your vendor, so that they know candidly this is exactly how you are going to be tracking, and it motivates them to make sure that you're a success too. They're going to make sure that your ad looks real good if they know they got to keep you. Yeah,
you're an open book. They can please you for sure.
Yeah, you want to be aligned on the same goal there, for sure.
I like it.
I think that kind of leads into number 6, because this is a great transition for that topic, which number 6 is ask for a trial period or an opt-out period. So I think when you're having that conversation on what your success metrics are, it makes sense to say, okay, I want to see 10 people coming through my door because of this ad for 3 months, in order to continue or sign a contract. A lot of these vendors really want you to sign those contracts. They want to lock you in. And I'm telling you from experience, oh man, I'll never forget when we first opened our doors and we signed up. I mean, we were so gung-ho, and this marketing vendor just promised us the world. And I got so excited. I signed, I think, a 24-month contract.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh, JoJo messed up there. Yeah. And they wound up being horrible. We realized it within, I think, 60 days that they were awful. And we had to fight nail and teeth to get out of that contract. So ask for that trial period. You want them to prove their success with you for, 60, 90 days before you sign any sort of contract. And most vendors should be willing to do that, but make sure with that trial period, you have those success metrics set between the two of you to say, this is the success I need to see in order to continue to move forward. Or if I'm not hitting this number, then I want to be able to opt out of this contract within 90 days. It's your business. Don't be afraid to set those stipulations. And
what's the worst thing to say no?
Yeah, and if they say no, then
somebody will. Yeah,
don't want to work with them. Then if they aren't willing to back their performance with that opt-out period, it's like when you see your money back guarantee, like they should be offering that, if they're a good marketing vendor. So ask for that trial period. Never signed a contract without some sort of opt-out based on performance.
Based on performance, yeah. And that shouldn't, and you can just say, look, hey, everything you're saying sounds right. This sounds great. Let's say this thing, that's a bed, whatever. I don't want to do, I'm not going to want to do business for 2 years with you then. And certainly they don't understand that, but yeah, they are going to want to and incentivize to get into a contract. And then you guys can you negotiate backwards from that, right? And then, well, if you want to go longer, that's okay. Then put the cost or do whatever. It's like you do, it's like you're doing a cable vendor. It's still has a contract. I have no incentive to do so. So it just, you're the one with the purse strings.
Right. Yeah,
You're the one with the purse strings.
absolutely. Well, let's recap here.
Mm-hmm.
So today we went over 6 things you should be asking your marketing vendor. Number 1 was show me the numbers. You want to ask them for how many impressions you're getting. Don't be afraid to dig deep on that question and make sure that those are hard numbers and what those numbers actually entail. And you also want to know what's the average response time for that medium. So how soon do people who receive that medium come into your store to redeem that offer? Number 2 was who is the target audience? Who is the audience that marketing is going to be in front of them? And does that audience match your demographic and your ideal customer avatar? Number 3, that was references. Ask for references, make sure they're real ones, or go and ask your community for that double set of eyes, that vouching for that marketing vendor. Number 4 was add copy assistance. Does the marketing vendor provide the graphics and copy design and writing, or are you going to have to do it on your own? And if they do it, make sure that you ask for those examples so that you know that you can trust them to do the work for that. Number 5, reporting, tracking, and success metrics. You want to make sure that you understand how you are going to get that return on investment and what that looks like for you and your business. And number 6 is look for a trial period or an opt-out period that's based on performance. Did I miss anything, Kyle?
I think you got it all.
Yeah.
You got it all. The key, my favorite one is probably 5. I would say just getting that alignment with your vendors on expectations is super key.
Yeah.
Often overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find all of these in the show notes, which can be found at masterbrickandmortar.com/4. That's the number 4. And you can find all of this information there. But before we go, I think we do have a question this week from the audience.
This one comes from Tyler. The question is, what was the hardest part personally in starting the business?
I like this question.
So the hardest part. So I guess it's kind of a long answer, but for me, I think when we started getting into this, we were at a good spot, right? I had a great job, you had a great job, and we kind of, I guess you ebb and flow through your life. I'm a little older than JoJo is, I guess, and no, I don't guess I am, but it's one of those things where it's like, do you want to risk it? And I felt like we had come back from, we made a move, we moved and came back and stuff like that. And it was like everything was kind of good. And now here, just JoJo with this business opportunity. And I didn't know that I wanted to jump right on it. And that was tough for me. And I think it's one of the reasons why Joanne and I work well, because I'm pretty, I don't want to say conservative, but I'm happy where I'm at a lot of times. And Joanne wants to stretch all the time, and I love it. It's great, but it works well for the two of us. But that was the hardest thing for me. And it wasn't even necessarily risk, because I felt like I was confident, but I didn't know that I felt that it was necessary. But at the same time, I think what eventually happened was just, we just ended up coming together on it, and it's been great. But just the timing of kind of like, we worked really hard. I kind of wanted to,
Yeah.
I just wanted to sit back on my laurels and enjoy the fruits of my labor as we had gotten back. So that was probably the toughest thing mentally for me.
I mean, we don't have any kids, but I would imagine it would be like deciding to have a baby and
Yeah.
taking on this huge and what do you call it?
Undertaking?
Yeah. This huge undertaking that's going to be a large investment that you're stuck with for a long time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be spending hours and hours on it. And yeah, I think that's such a good answer to that question. I think for me, it was almost the opposite where, the hardest part for me was I was so excited. Like I saw the vision. I was just, I don't know, I always have this outlook on things like it's just going to work out. Kyle, you'd ask questions like on the numbers and I'd be like, I don't know, but we're going to do it. It's going to be great. But it was almost, when things did go wrong or, you found out like a wrench would be thrown in, you find out you need a permit that's going to push you back a week. And, for me, it was like keeping that vision and staying excited and motivated when, um, not everything's going exactly as to plan. I'm quite the perfectionist in that area, but things, I think still to this day, every day at the store, something happens or pops up, something needs to be fixed, something needs to be replaced. But keeping that overall mindset that,
Yeah, I don't even get upset. I don't even get upset, or not even upset. I don't even get. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying not to lie. No, but I just, it's just another day. It just seems to be another day with the amount of things that go wrong, not go wrong, but the things that need to be fixed. So
Love it. Great question, Tyler.
yeah, thanks, Tyler.
Perfect. Well, go check out the show notes for a recap of today, exactly what you should be asking your marketing vendors. And don't forget to go check out Tap Mango, our sponsor. Great loyalty program. They offer free demos for anyone watching and listening into this episode. You can find that at masterbrickandmortar.com/tapmango. Anything else, Kyle?
No,
Well, let's wrap it up.
take a nap.
Hope everyone has a great week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Receipt Paper Podcast, your go-to source of information for starting and growing a successful brick-and-mortar business. Subscribe to hear future episodes and share this content so that more people can access these valuable insights. If you're looking for more resources to help you with your brick-and-mortar business, visit masterbrickandmortar.com or follow us on Instagram at masterbrickandmortar. Thanks again for listening to the Receipt Paper Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.